Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 5th episode of the Movie Discussion podcast. I'm your host, Mustache Man, and before we get started, I'd just like to say if my voice seems a little bit off, it is because I'm currently a bit sick, but I should be back with a good voice recording next episode and in my YouTube videos. So basically, I'm a YouTuber. I make film reviews for mostly current films and some older films. My channel link will be down below if you would like to check it out. And also my Letterboxd page will be down below as well. And the subreddit for this podcast where you can ask questions and recommend films. And there will be a Reddit thread after this is over. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the format. We basically talk about 2 movies that are not spoiled, and these would be new movies, and then we get into the film recommendation, which will have spoilers, but I don't think there will be heavy spoilers in this segment, especially for today. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into the first movie discussion. So, starting off, we have Reminiscence, the newest HBO Max release, directed by Lisa Joy. Now, I did not know this going in, but I did figure this out after because it felt like this. This is Nolan's sister-in-law, so take that for what you will. I think this is her first feature, if I'm not mistaken, and it stars Hugh Jackman, and it's, pretty good. Let's get into it. This is a very convoluted film with a lot of plot lines that don't make sense, and this machine particularly doesn't really make sense. I honestly kind of forgot about the movie a little bit. It is very confusing and very dumb in that kind of Nolan way, which is weird, even though, Nolan did not have anything to do with this film. But still, it felt very much like a Nolan film, and I don't know how much inspiration Lisa Joy got from him, but it did feel very wrapped up in, his type of style. And also, because this is her first or near her first feature, it very much, falters in the fact that this is a feature that is close to being this person's first. And they try and take on so much with this concept with a sci-fi action kind of thriller movie. And I don't think that's a film that you need to be tackling this early on in your career because, it takes, most directors years to find their footing, and then they can actually make these types of films. But I don't think it's good to start out with, since, you put yourself in you're trying to put yourself in such a grand scale when you're really new to this. It just doesn't feel genuine or like, this is a passion project. So even though, it wasn't that great, The Machine was a cool concept. This whole Reminiscence thing was a good concept, I will say. But there are a lot of dumb plot lines in this. And especially, this has twists like comparing it to The Prestige, where it just kind of killed the film for me. It's not as good as The Prestige by any means, and the filmmaking isn't even that great either. And, it had some interesting set design. That is one thing I can say about it. A great set design. And characters that I, empathized with a little bit, but nothing that I connected with truly. This was just a decent film. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to that many people, as it isn't that great. But, if you're a big sci-fi fan and you were going to check this out anyway, and you love Nolan for everything, even in the confusing movies like Tenet, then give this one a watch. It does suffer from, first feature jitters, but, not terrible, but not the best at all. And I would probably be giving it a 4 out of 10. Then we have a film that I have a lot more to say about that is called Annette. Now, this is the new Leos Carax film. I think he's a French director, maybe? But he directed stuff like Holy Motors and stuff like that. I have not seen any of his prior films, but I have heard that they are not great, and I've heard that at least his style is interesting, so I might check those out one day. But for this film, it stars Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard, and it's just basically a huge musical, and it goes through these two lovers' lives, kind of, and they have a kid and stuff like that, which I thought the style of this was pretty great. Personally, I really like the colors. I like the songs well enough. I like how the music was integrated into the songs. I thought that the lyrics were pretty nice. The production, set design was pretty good. Costumes were fine. But, Adam Driver in Marion Cotillard gave a great performance, each of them, especially Adam Driver. Adam Driver is quickly becoming one of my favorite actors, and he just brought everything he had to this film. So basically, Adam Driver plays a comedian. His name is Henry McHenry, and Marion Cotillard plays, I forgot the character's name, because she's not in it as much as Adam Driver, but, musical, that kind of thing. Like I said, a lot of style from Leos Carax, and at the very least, that is what this film offers. I thought that it was, a bit longer than it needed to be. This is like 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I think they could have shaved this down to 1 hour and 45, and I think it would have been a lot more bearable if it was that long instead of 2 hours and 20 minutes. I was honestly getting kind of bored, and the pacing did not help that much. It was very slow. And I can appreciate a slow film when it leads to something, but this really did not, build up to anything great. I thought that some of the imagery was pretty great. I thought that the kind of marionette child was pretty weird and out there and fun. This obviously is not meant to be taken literally, and if you've seen the film, you know what I mean. Like, it obviously is not a film that you were supposed to take as realism. Because they're singing while they're having sex, and they're singing, I think, while they're giving birth or whatever. So yeah, like I said, obviously not real at all. But I thought that it worked for what it was. It wasn't necessarily the best film that I've seen all year, but it was interesting enough. I understand the hype around it, and I think some people are definitely going to get this a lot more than others. It personally wasn't my thing in terms of the pacing and the slowness of it, and although I am a film nerd and I do really like the colors, cinematography, that was enough to keep me engaged for most of it. But, if I don't have a great story with great characters, I can't really get behind all that. I mean, it's still great outside of all that, but I feel like whenever you use cinematography and colors and all that, it needs to do something with the film. It needs to have a purpose behind the story, and I think that, they really missed the mark with this one. It still is not bad by any means. It is a great film, just outside of pacing and story. The characters are easy to connect with. I think that Adam Driver was, like I said, great, and that really kept me invested with his character. He goes berserk in this film, and I really enjoyed that. It was kind of like Marriage Story, but in a much weirder sense. So yeah, it was still a good film, I got to say. Thought some of the editing was pretty spot on, and the first 20 minutes had me so invested. Maybe first 40. But yeah, definitely go check this out if you like style over substance, style over substance. I didn't necessarily love this film, as you can probably tell, and I'm going to be giving it a 6 out of 10. And finally, we have our film recommendation. Now, this is a film from 1957, and it is directed by Sidney Lumet, who you might have heard of from Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, and Dog Day Afternoon, starring Al Pacino. And this is going to be 12 Angry Men. Now, I had never seen this film before, and I'm so glad that I finally got around to it because of you guys. And it was so good, bro. It was it's one of my favorite films of all time. It is top 10 easily, and I cannot thank you guys enough for recommending me this one, because honestly, I don't love older films, not that I have anything against them, because they can be great, but I feel like a lot of them are very outdated now, even ones that are considered classics. I feel like, I'm judging it as present and not as back then. That's why I don't really love the Indiana Jones movies, but this was way before all that too, so I just expected it not to be good. I went in expecting, nothing outstanding, and I got the complete opposite. Now, I'll give a plot synopsis. So basically, it's called 12 Angry Men because you have this jury who is trying to decide the fate of this kid who supposedly murdered his father, and you basically just see them arguing and trying to figure out and discussing how they're going to judge, because it has to be 12-0 on the vote. And basically through the course of the story, it is very intense and well shot and great performances. So let me just start out with performances. All 12 of them were great, and it's can sometimes be really inconsistent when you have long takes and the acting, but every single actor gave it their all through these long takes and just through the whole film. They're constantly yelling, and I love it. And this is one of those films where, even though I don't know the actors, if I knew these actors and I knew everything that they'd been in and I've seen everything that they've been in, I would still see the character rather than the actor. And I felt that a lot. It takes a lot to get your name out there and make people think of the actor before the character, but it takes even more effort to make yourself blend with the character so well that people forget who you are. And this is what this film does so well. Sidney Lumet absolutely killed it in the direction, and I don't know if he wrote the script or not, but this is one of the best scripts ever. Like I said, there are long takes in this film that last close to 10 minutes, I think, and just wow, it's so surprising that they're able to keep a 10-minute take where people are constantly moving and talking, and the performances still stay consistent with everything. And, this is just such a good film. I honestly cannot praise it enough. I cannot think of a single flaw with this film, by the way. The pacing is, really, really, really fast. It's like a Kubrick film with, a better script. And it was just so absolutely jaw-dropping for what I was expecting. I was expecting maybe a 7, 8 out of 10. But instead, with this film, I got a solid 10 out of 10 experience. Highly recommend it. This is my favorite of everything I've been recommended on this podcast so far, and you should just all go check it out. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, links down below to everything so that you can look at my daily movie reviews as they come out, and you can see them before there are videos on them. Also, subreddit for questions and recommendations. And yeah, so I'll see. Oh, wait. Okay, I remembered this time. I don't have to edit it in at the end. The next film recommendation is going to be Happy End from 2017, directed by Michael Haneke, which is YMS's favorite director, I believe, and I've been meaning to check out his films for a very, very long time, so this is going to be my introduction. So yeah, get ready for that one. And yeah, links down below in the description. I will see you all in the next one. Later, guys. Peace.